Hello, I am Nikita Khrushchev, the former leader of the Soviet Union during the Cold War. I worked both alongside and against Presidents Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson. Come with me and I will show you a little bit about my life. Born in April 1894, I grew up in Kalinovka before I moved to the mining town of Yuzovka, where I was apprenticed as a metal worker. I then joined the Communist Bolsheviks in 1918, only a small time after their rise to power. I then moved to Moscow in 1929, where I rose rapidly throughout the ranks of the party. I was given responsibility over the Russian troops in Ukraine. Then later in 1953, I became the head of the Communist Party. I remained in this position until my forced resignation in 1964, and I lived retired until my death in 1971. During my time in power in the Russian government, I promoted an unprecedented view of peaceful interaction with capitalist countries and less control of the media and the economy, which became known as the Thaw. I was also responsible for creating the KGB, Russia's internal security force and secret police. I also ushered one of Russia's greatest eras of scientific advancement in engaging in the space race with the United States of America. One of the most difficult challenges I faced was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which ended up being my downfall, because I was perceived as weak for negotiating a peaceful compromise. Now, let me take you through the process of cooking the ideal Russia. Of course, our cooking will take place in the traditional Russian kitchen, the bar. Firstly, let's prep the foreign policy. What we want to do is take a strong approach, have a firm hand, but be careful not to add too much belligerence. The key to a good foreign policy is balancing the flavors of strength and peace. To do this, I advise a good base of nuclear arms, which you can stir thoroughly into countries close to your enemies, and sprinkle in some good diplomacy with a dash of compromise. Chef Putin is notorious for adding in copious amounts of aggression, which is in my view partially responsible for the dislike of the dish in other countries. Next we deal with the economic portion of the dish. Again, the key is balance. Add 2 parts government control and regulation and 1 part individual freedom, and stir very slowly. If you stir too quickly or add too much free market, the whole thing turns into a sloppy mess. If you do end up with a soupy economy than desired, add more government regulation. Finally, season with the exploitation of less fortunate countries, and the economy ought to go well with the rest of the meal. Now for the final part of our ideal Russia, we have the internal security and secret police. This seasoning is very important as it ties the entire meal together and ensures that everything goes down smoothly, though the flavor ought to be barely detectable. I use a seasoning of my own design, the KGB. However, if one wants to substitute the low-carb FSB, as Chef Putin elects to do, that is a viable alternative. Now that your dish is ready, isolate it in the refrigerator so that no outside temperatures corrupt it.